Good, sir. How's
Great,
everything?
great, great. First of all, I want to welcome everybody for coming in today. Be through the live YouTube that I got going on, or rather be through the Zoom. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Tonight is going to be interesting for those who don't know anything about the Zodiac Cross or the coming of the sun versus SON versus SUN. So tonight is going to be kind of interesting. That is implied to the esoteric side of Freemasonry and also the Eastern Star side. So it's going to be an interesting conversation. And if you can agree to disagree with anything that I say tonight, we can have that conversation and dialogue. So tonight, I just want to welcome everybody who's coming on, be it through the YouTube or even the Zoom. So definitely, I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be interesting. Definitely interesting. So the six let me see 609. What area code? What part of the country that is? 609.
609, that's Trent, New Jersey.
Is that you?
Yeah, it's just me. I'm
Oh,
your
okay.
administrator.
Yeah, so you came in through. Okay, so you called in tonight. So my administrator just called into the Zoom tonight, so he wants to get some of this. He's like, nah, I'm not going to even do the Facebook thing. I think I'm just going to have to tune in live tonight. So definitely, we're just going to wait a little while longer as people begin to come on in. It's an honor to be here listening and learning this evening. Well, granted, come on in, everybody, come on in. We all gonna learn from each other. It's just not a me thing, but it's an us thing. I think that every Mason, every individual can learn from the other individual. So that's how we're gonna do this today. So I'm appreciative that everybody's coming in, and I want to get a big shout out to the General Grand Council of the Knights of Templars. Eric Sutton is the most eminent Grand Master, and I just want to give him a shout out. He's back in Mississippi for a little while, taking care of home. Hey, what's up, Kenneth? You all right?
How you doing, there, brother?
I'm doing okay. I'm going okay. Welcome aboard today. Welcome aboard today. Greetings to all. How you doing there, brother Charles? Greetings, greetings, greetings to everybody who's coming on. So we're gonna have this conversation tonight, and I believe that it's going to be one that's going to really get you to think. Some of you may already know about the Zodiac Cross and how it came to be and all of that, and how it plays into Freemasonry. So we're going to have this discussion, also dealing with the Eastern Star works too. So if I got some Eastern Stars that's going to tune in tonight, I think they'll get a kick out of it. So just bear with me for a little while longer as brothers of the craft, sisters of the order, and those people who don't know begin to charm in and really have this conversation in regards to the Freemasons, the Order of the Eastern Star. And let me tell you, I'm not, people say, well, you're giving away secrets. There is no secret giveaway here. We just going to have a real good conversation tonight. Good evening, Foster. What's going on with you? I appreciate you coming in. George, how you doing? Randolph Teller. Morpheus, what's going on with you? You may have to call in, Morpheus. For real, this may be your type of show tonight. So, how many of you know about the Zodiac Cross? Anything about the Zodiac Cross? I took some notes I want to share with you. So we're going to get right into this. So do anybody have anything to say about the Zodiac Cross? What do you know about the Zodiac Cross? You want to share that with me tonight? You can go right ahead, especially here on the Zoom where I can actually hear you. So anybody got to tune in on that? Anybody want to say anything about that? No one. It's all quiet. So look, for those of you who are on the YouTube channel, if you want to call in tonight, Brother Jackson, I don't know if you can. You're doing both, but if they want to call in tonight, definitely they're welcome to do so. If they want to call in tonight, the number to call in to tonight's show is going to be 619-286-0642. So if you want to call in, you're certainly welcome to do so. Brother Jackson, if you can put that in. I don't know if you're doing both or not. Let me know, and I'll go ahead and stick it in there. I'm going to move this over.
Brother Tony,
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what the cross is if you can tell me what the Yggdrasil tree is.
Oh, listen here. Who is that? Who is that talking right now?
Aaron.
Aaron, oh my goodness, Aaron. It looks like we're gonna have a good conversation tonight, then, huh?
Maybe. I guess we'll have to see.
I'm listening.
I said, I'll tell you what the cross is if you can tell me what the Yggdrasil tree is.
Well, I don't know. I'm listening. I'm learning too.
What about the world tree?
Oh, the tree of life.
Within and without?
So as above and below?
Aye.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything. I just want to share information with you. I want to get it out. And there's some people that may know and may not know. So this is what we're all going to get it into. Now, how you doing, Brother Morpheus?
How you doing, brother?
I appreciate it. So let's talk about this Zodiac Cross. According to what I've come across, the Zodiac Cross is one of the oldest crosses that is known. Now, some people talk about the Ankh. I believe that the Ankh is that Zodiac Cross because it deals with both male and female. Now, we can agree to disagree, but if you have information you want to share, certainly we can make that happen too. So as we look at this Zodiac Cross, and I want to be able to share my screen with a picture of the Zodiac Cross because I don't know how many have seen a picture of the Zodiac Cross. For me to talk about it and you not to see it may be somewhat like, wow, really? So,
The O-womb.
do you have a picture of the Zodiac Cross? I can have you on the screen share if you want. If anybody want to put up one, I was looking for it and I can't find one right now. I know what it looks like to me. As a matter of fact, I draw a picture and share it that way for those who may not know what the Zodiac Cross look like. So if you're not familiar with the Zodiac Cross,
Which one are you
This
drawing?
it? Is it this one?
yeah, it's that one.
Mm,
It's that one. Yes. That is truly the Zodiac Cross right there. And if I'm not mistaken, that is one of the oldest crosses known. Okay, if you add that top with the circle upon it, it then becomes the Ankh. But we know it as the Zodiac Cross. Okay. Now, when you're looking at the Zodiac Cross, it reflects the sun as it is passing through the constellation, and that's through a whole year cycle. Okay. The Zodiac Cross represents the reflection of the sun as it passes through a cycle through the constellations. So as I said, because I'm doing both. I'm doing the YouTube and I'm doing the Zoom tonight. So I'm kind of looking back and forth. So, but as we get into discussion tonight, I want everybody to be able to participate because I don't know everything. So I'm learning like you learn. I'm sharing information. So as we look at the Zodiac Cross and what it really represents, and then we're going to see what Jesus comes into play because a lot of people look at things and say this world has only been around for like 3,000 years, and this rock has been around for millions of years. Let's just be honest with it. We know about the fact that they have found the giants and the bones and so many other things, but it seems that we've gotten so bogged down to looking at the cycle as being only 3,000 years, or maybe 12,000 years. But the earth itself has been around for millions of years because we know that the temple itself, when I say the temple, I'm actually talking about the pyramids, are older than the written scriptures that we have. We know this. This is not something out of a science magazine. This is something that we all know. So why is it that we're so hell-bent, excuse the language there, on just the Bible being that guidance? Oh, the Bible, the Quran, the Quran. There are manuscripts that we know of that predates both of those. We know this. This is not something that we don't know, but we've been so washed or brainwashed to think that this is it. This is the only way. This is all we'll ever know. When you have traveled the world, there are many different people worshiping God in their own way, their own likeness. And when you are able to bring that in, then you can see it from a whole nother point of view, not just your own. And that's hard for some people to look at. Brother Aaron, if you want to jump in here, you certainly can. All right. So greetings, everybody. And like I said, if you want to call in to tonight, you're certainly welcome to do so. How you doing, Brother Larry Diamond? I appreciate you tuning in. Greetings to everybody on the YouTube channel. I certainly appreciate it. So we know, as again, that the reflection of the sun is passing through the constellation when you take a look at the Zodiac Cross. Okay. It also represents the 12 months of the year in the 4 seasons, because you know that the Zodiac Cross is divided into 4s. Am I right? So it represents the 4 seasons in the 12 months of the year. The sun sets still as it is representative of God, the sun. So we know around December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th on the northern hemisphere, the sun looks like it stands still. And then on December 25th, it moves 1 degree. And it looks as if it is moving north. That's the way it looks. But if you look into the northern hemisphere, that's why your days become shorter in the winter months. You know, because as you look at it, it's going from death to life. And when I say death to life, that means to say that I'll get into that in a minute. That is clearly say the sun is in the crust of the cross. That's why when it looks like it stands still and then it raises again 1 degree, meaning that you're going to begin to have longer days versus longer nights. And that's where we get the whole thing about Jesus being in the tomb for 3 days, and on the 3rd day he raised again. Look, there's no man in the Middle East of Africa and born in December. Do you know how cold it is in a manger? If any of you have ever served in the military and you're in the Middle East during the winter months, it's cold. It's cold. You know, it's cold. It's just that simple. It's not even rocket science. I'm just going to read this planet is 4.5 billion years according to scientists. Okay. 4.5 billion years according to scientists. That's what one of the brothers just posted on the YouTube here. Slim Daddy, what's up with you, Slim Daddy? All right, so now I'm just going through my little notes that I took down just to share with you. Now, the light of the constellation. The constellation represents the travel of God, the sun, S-U-N. If you remove S-O-N out of the Bible and put in S-U-N, it shows you what the heavens are like, or the sky, or how the constellation moves about. Remove S-O-N out your Bible and put in S-U-N, because without that sun, that big ball in the fire, you will get no life on this planet. You will get no life on this planet without that big ball of fire in the sky. The S-U-N. You get no life. Okay? Now, Aquarius, the water bearer, represents the spring. So, you know, as we begin to travel the months, you know, they often talk about the water bearer. The water bearer represents the spring, which is the Aquarius, which we go, which as the months begin to change, we go from the winter to the fall to the spring, and then to the summer. So as you know, in some jurisdictions, this is what I do know. When they celebrate what we call winter solstice, that represents the death. Okay. And then when they get into June and August, that represents life, because now you're getting ready to go into the summer months. Okay. Anybody can chime in, or you can call in. This is not just all on me. I just want to share the information I came across. How's everybody doing today? John Solomon, you all right? Yeah, he's muted. So as we begin to go through this thing, let's look at Horus. I don't know how many of you know about Horus and read about Horus, but Horus is the sun god of Egypt, of the Egyptian. Okay, so when you think about the first god that is known to men, it would be Horus, the sun god. No doubt about it.
Amun-Ra is the sun god.
Amun-Ra is the sun god?
Yeah.
They also consider Horus to be the sun god too. So I can take a look at that.
Amun.
Say what now?
The son of Amun.
Oh, okay, the son of Amun. Got you. I appreciate that. See, like I said, I don't know everything. Brother Aaron, boy, he just chips right in. I appreciate that. Thank you. So as we look at,
say Ptah.
say what
You
now?
say Ptah was first.
You would say Ptah was first?
It's a good argument.
That's a good argument?
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know everything. See, you guys are throwing out some things that I've heard. I just hadn't looked it up for myself. And this is good information for us to share. And that's the thing about it. A lot of us don't like to share this information. Share the information. Share the wealth, as I call it. You know? So as I talk about Horus and he talk about Ptah and what was Brother Aaron, what was that name again?
Which name?
The one you said that was the sun god.
Amun.
Amun-Ra. Okay. Yeah. So Horus, okay, in what I've come across, Horus is the sun or the light. His enemy was his brother Seth, darkness. So it's in when we think about Mason, we think about the black and white checkered floor, good versus evil. Most of us, when we dress, we go to our Masonic meetings, black and white, you know, the shirt being white, the suit being black, you know, so we're always on guard against evil. You know, it says that in Freemasonry, the first thing we should do is always invoke the blessings of deity. And deity has no name. Am I right or wrong? Anybody?
Well, how do you invoke that?
That's a good question. How? Well, that's an individual thing. For me, I invoke deity through prayer. And when I think of prayer, that's my conversation with my deity, my God.
Do you use imagery?
I don't use imagery.
No, I'm talking about internal imagery.
Well, for me, yes, I'll say I do. I'll say I do. Because I surely believe that when the scriptures, and I can go back to when the scriptures say that I'm made in the image of God, I use that as my imagery.
There you go. That's the correct answer.
Okay.
Brother Tony.
Yeah,
I'm
go.
sorry. I apologize. Greetings to all of you brothers.
Greetings.
In particular to you, Mr. Hawkins Muhammad.
Greetings.
Let me give you brothers something real quickly here. I'm speaking to you from the 3030 here in Amanzimtoti, South Africa.
Oh, okay. Greetings, brother. John Solomon means a lot. Go ahead.
I've been wanting to speak with you for a long time now, but I didn't plan on chiming in, but you were so gracious to speak out my name, and I thought I would chime in out of kindness.
Go ahead.
Look, the United States government, certain forces understand that the sun that you see above your head is not actually above your head. It shines from within the earth and shines out of the poles, reaching the outer spheres, refracting back down in the form of heat. So the sun that you see above your head is not the sun that sits in Sirius C. That sun is 93 million miles away, and scientists tell you that. And of course, you know with common sense, you cannot see anything above your head that's 93 million miles away.
Well, you know what? You threw me all off with that. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, wow. I'm like, ooh, wee. So go back and say that you said the sun reflects from out of the earth, not from Series 3.
Absolutely.
I'm listening.
Let's take it a step back. Scientists tells us in public school that the sun that sits above our head is 93 million miles away.
Right.
Now, if that were the case, and it sits in Sirius C, now you would not be able to see the sun. Now, when you travel in an airplane and you're 33,000 feet above the earth, during the daytime, have you noticed you never see the sun ball, but you do see its rays? The reason you will never see the sun ball in the airplane is because it's not there. You see, when there are two types of cells, remember, as within, so without. So when you look at the human cell, there are only two types of cells, gentlemen. There's the eukaryote cell and there's the prokaryote cell.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what does that mean and how does that relate to Freemasonry? Well, let's deal with building. When you look at the prokaryote cell, what makes it distinct so distinct from the eukaryote cell? Well, the eukaryote cell has a nucleus within its center. That's the exact thing our planet carries. It's a central sun. Well, when you look at the prokaryote does not have a nucleus within it. That's because it reflects the moon, whereas the eukaryote reflects the sun. So within your very cells, you have the sun, moon, and stars. This information was kept hidden from all Masons in the United States because you were never meant to know how to calculate the time of the planet. That's why those who know chuckle at those who speculate. It's easy to find out how old the planet is. Now, I'm not a member of the Nation of Islam, but they're telling the truth when they tell you the planet is 66 trillion years old.
Okay.
The average human being has 33 trillion cells within their body. That is correct. Well, what is a cell? If they say that moon, let's look at the moon. Now, we can discuss all 9 of the Egyptian or Kemetic Enneads. You can start with Ptah. When the Nation of Islam told you, there in the United States, that the moon was once a part of the earth, they were telling you the truth. At that time, 66 trillion years ago, the moon, the planet that you now are on, was part of the moon, and it sat in a different part of the atmosphere. So really, with that being the case, human beings did not look like you look now. Now, when the sun became separated from the earth, the energy from within inside itself began to be exposed. If you crack open an egg from a chicken, you're gonna see a sun. All you gotta do to find proof and evidence that, and I'll give you more of that within yourself. Just crack an egg and you'll see a sun. It's called yolk. Look, everything that's within inside you is outside you. Let's get back to the 66 trillion years. There are 33 trillion cells within every human body, plus another 33 trillion of different kinds. Each cell represents a year of that mitochondria strand. Only 14 mitochondria strands that pervade the planet Earth. Those are the 14 Osiris pieces, or in Kemetic terms, Asar pieces that the great architects spread throughout the world. Those 14 strands of DNA. And those strands, in terms of being on the square plane and being in physical existence, started out as a dark black, dark hue, dark green people. And then from that, because of the oxygenation process, you started to get more of a black and more of a brown, and then other types of genetic grafting, other types of people came on the planet. That doesn't mean because you were first being black, that doesn't mean you're better. It just simply means you are the mothers and fathers of that planet, but you yourself of this planet, you yourself are not at the state you were once in. So we need to understand that when you're dealing with the cell itself, a cell is nothing more than a memory chip. And how do I know that you're dealing with 33 trillion times 2 equals 66 trillion? Well, a cell records on an annual basis, or one is produced every year within your body. All you do is look at the cycle of the earth. They tell you that the earth rotates on its axis with a 364 day calendar. And you know, at every interval, every spring, you have flowers. Those flowers die, but they return back 364 years later. So when you're looking at a cell, think in terms, gentlemen, of a computer chip, and then you'll get closer. Remember, the nucleus of a Eurocratic cell is nothing more than a sun. Okay, so let's take it again. You're looking at the planet Earth. There have been men that have been thrown out of buildings trying to get this truth to you. The sun shines within the earth. That's why they don't send certain planes over certain poles, because it's magnetic energy. So
Wait. Go back. You said they don't do what with certain planes?
you
He's
don't have
talking about the center.
Okay.
They won't fly over the center or the South Pole.
Oh.
yeah, because
Okay.
it throws the magnetic compass off. When you're looking at the Ouroboros lights that shine up, where are those lights coming from? What do you our planet is electromagnetic energy. What happens when sperm and ovum come together?
Okay.
It's coming from the center tree.
What'd you say?
I said it's coming from the center tree. The mother and the father are having sex.
Well, you're talking about the action itself. What happens? What happens when a sperm enters an egg? Well, chemically what happens, zinc fires off. When the sperm and the egg become one, a gamete. Or excuse me, yeah. And you have pods that are created in what's now an egg being fertilized. There's electromagnetic charges that are going off due to the oxidation process. Any explosion will carry an oxidation. You need oxygen to create an explosion. Well, that's what goes on when you see lightning above your head, and that's what you see, of course, under a microscope when a fertilized egg begins to explode. That's because a lot of zinc is being emitted. And the reason zinc is being emitted because you're actually seeing how God created thyself. You see, you've got more than 5 layers of atmosphere above your head. You have the ionosphere, you have the mesosphere, you have the atmosphere itself, and then within the atmosphere you have 5 different atmospheres. When you're looking at yourself as a being,
right,
and you know that you have what is called a pineal gland, all you need to do is look at the Vesica Pisces to understand how God ejaculated upon thyself and created thyself. And all you need to do is study meiosis and mitosis, which is the splitting of an egg, fertilizing, and becoming multiple parts. That's just simply God reproducing himself. When you look at the Vesica Pisces, yeah, you do see 2 circles interlocking, and you can easily spot the vagina in between the 2 interlocking circles, but you don't see the penis. But the penis is there. And where's the penis? When you go to the Vesica Pisces, all you need to do, when you see the vagina, you have to know that a hole is presented, and within that hole that's created within the Vesica Pisces, you have what is called my science terms, but it's the oxygen. It's when charged particles begin to enter a void. Nature's policy is not to have any voids. That's why ether is all around your body. That is why when the Vesica Pisces form, you get what is called charged energies to fill that void in the center. That's the same thing as a man and a woman having sex. When you have a woman's vesica in front of you and your penis is excited, you have particles within you to send out an electrical charge. Every time a man has an orgasm, that's an electrical charge.
not
When you come,
only
It's
that,
an exchange of positive and negative ions.
well, that's true. And
Please
that's,
continue.
I do apologize. Go ahead.
No, I said please continue.
Well, that's part of what causes that spark. So when you have an orgasm and you feel that sensation, it's the same sensation that you see when you see lightning and thunder.
Hold on.
Instead,
Which type of orgasm, with or without ejaculation?
when the male human is experiencing an orgasm, that is an electrical current that is taking place within your gonads. That electrical current is the spark that is required to produce life. You cannot produce life without that spark. That's
No, I
why.
understand. I understand that. I said with
Okay.
or without ejaculation.
Oh no!
Which one?
In order for you to create human with spirit, you need that spark to occur. That is why doctors who attempt to have babies in vitro and things of that nature, they've had horrible responses. Yeah, you may produce a child, but then that child at age 9 may lose its memory because without proper spirit. Man has ages attempting to duplicate that spark. Only the architect can duplicate that spark. That is that is a spark that only met. There was a time, if you look at a chick, I'm talking about the animal chick that produces an egg. No chicken requires a penis to produce an egg. Well, when God, the great architect, was forming itself, it didn't require assistance at that point. We all reflect that when we're in our mother's womb and we're dividing ourselves into 2s and 4s and 6. It's just God reflecting himself and reproducing himself. Remember, the universe operates on patterns, as one of Tony Hawkins Muhammad's caller, one of the gentlemen wrote in one of his other speeches. The universe operates in patterns. That's why we have the seasons, and that's why it's not any more intelligent than you. It's just infinite. The only thing, once you understand its patterns and how it relates to you, then you've pretty much mastered everything.
Brother John.
At that point, yes.
I'm going to have you to introduce yourself, because I don't think a lot of brothers know exactly who you are. I have to do it. I know I kind of cut you in mid-stride, but I need for you to inform them, about who you are. I mean, ain't no need of you coming on here and then, John Solomon, this is who I am. No, come on now.
Well, Brother Muhammad, I chimed into you long ago when you embraced the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We saw that here in Africa. And I'm from the United States, but I've lived here in Africa for now more than 14 years.
Wow, okay.
And in living here, I've come across Freemasons here. I'm out of the ancient mystery system.
Okay.
I studied I call in as Kether material when I often comment on your show. And I don't pretend to know any more than anyone else. I do have 30 years in the ancient mystery system. Most of my forebearers wear 33 degrees in the United States. And my lineage is Berber. If you follow the beautiful Jews who were kicked up out of the UK in the 1690s, and you follow them into Europe, Scotland, you understand how they themselves were nurtured into Freemasonry.
Gotcha.
And my lineage is Berber. We brought Freemasonry to the Carolinas in the United States. When you look at Scottish Rite Freemasonry and its origin, it's right there in South Carolina. Okay, when you look at who were the original people of South Carolina, it wasn't the Gullah people, it was the Berbers. Who were the Berbers? They were the ones of Morocco that signed the initial treaty with the United States, being the first to recognize the United States. But there was treachery that went down. You see, many of you don't know Prince Hall because many of you think of Prince Hall as being a human being. You don't think of him as being something created because most of you don't understand how Set thinks. Remember, Set doesn't think like a human being. He thinks that you all can't get past when you're going to eat next, sex next, and get paid. And so therefore, you don't tap into the greater aspects of the tree of knowledge. You don't see your relationship with Ptah and your relationship with Jeb, Newt. You don't understand that. You don't understand how soil was created. You don't understand how rain came about. And that's understandable. But there's answers to all of that. The soil came about when the planet separated from the moon. If you look at ice, when you take H2O, that's just 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. Well, if you can create 3 states with that. You can create a solid, liquid, and a gas. Well, what is that gas within you? You're made up of 85% water. That's your soul. You're made up of gas, solid, and liquid, just like water, because pretty much what you are. And so when we understand that aspect of ourselves, then what happens is the mystery system opens up to you, and you begin to deal directly with the grand architect, the great architect. You get treated like a child of the great architect. You then, because most Freemasonry in the United States don't deal in the metaphysics as strong as they should, and many of us recall what happened to Manly P. Hall when he finally gave in to those Masons and said, "I'll be one of you."
You know what?
Because then
They closed him down once he did that.
exactly.
They did.
And that's what they were told to do. See, they couldn't he had a hedge around him until he then took the oath. And then at that point, he lost his hedge. He was like Job at that point, except in his case, he was able to be killed. You see, when you're dealing directly with the grand architect, there's absolutely Freemasonry needs to exist, and it will always exist. It needs to be brought back to its prominence in its United States. And that's why we cheer yourself, John, and Mr. Hawkins.
That's
Muhammad.
okay.
My wife and I have said we were planning on funding you and your wife to come here and visit us and spend a couple days. We'll get to that at some later time. We're getting settled in a few things here in our business.
Okay.
But please continue doing what you're doing. I'm not going to take up your time. I'm a reflection of you all. I don't know any more or any less. It's all in our tissue. Remember, memory is in tissue.
Mm-hmm.
If you massage yourself and you go deep within yourself in that reflection chamber, all of your bad memories will be brought back to present day. You'll be able to tap into past histories. I'm not speaking in terms of reincarnation. I'm just speaking in you being in alignment with the great architect. You are one. So go ahead.
I was going to say, what do you think about as we get into coming of the sun versus SON versus SUN? What do you think about the scriptures as it is written and those that predates it? Because it seems to me as I've read the Bible and in the Quran and other holy books, there are books that predates that with the same information, just just a little dab here, just a little dab there, and it all deals with the constellation, it all deals with the sun, it all deals with that when we look to the heavens.
Exactly. Let's take it from right here, Mr. Hawkins Muhammad. Inside your solar plexus, inside your abdomen, you have what is called solar plexus. Now, solar beings are in direct relation with the solar system, which means when you exhale, you're breathing out carbon. Mm-hmm. There's no one that can dispute me on that. That's basic science. When you exhale, you're exhaling carbon. You breathe in oxygen, yet you exhale carbon. What does that mean in terms of the Son of Man? That simply means in order for carbon to be produced, there has to be a fire. Mm. That means there's a fire burning inside of you that they never wanted you to know about.
Wait, does that have anything to do with a human spontaneous combustion?
Yeah, exactly, sir. You have people, when you hear about especially old black women in the South, good women that have experienced I know a woman in South Carolina that blew her whole house up because she had an extent. She had a spontaneous combustion. That's very, very real.
I have a DVD on it, on human spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, it can very well happen because you got to understand you have gases inside you, and
Does that have anything to do with the Kundalini going through those?
Yes,
chakras?
sir. Oh, you on fire. Absolutely, Kenneth. Mr. Lindsay, sir, you absolutely correct. You see, when it comes to your Kundalini energy, if I were your enemy, I would have you on fat back. To keep you from the top of man, I would have you on pork chops.
Oh man, he wants to. In other words, he gonna kill you.
if I were your enemy, to keep your Kundalini from doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is tapping your pineal gland and bursting you wide open, setting you up so that the economic system will become something of a monopoly game to you as opposed to something destroying you. All of that becomes easier once you tap into your Kundalini energy. That's what the high priest Jethro knew. He knew that if he taught Moses how to tap into his Kundalini energy, he could go back and kick Pharaoh's ass. And that's what Moses did. When Moses understood, you see, Martin Luther King's biggest problem was he thought he was really what they were saying he was on TV. He got caught up. Beautiful man. Boule, Freemason, Alpha Phi Alpha. He's a beautiful man. But you can't believe what Satan say you are if Satan is paying you. The reason Jethro was able to manage Moses was attracted by the fact that Moses was attracted to Jethro about the simple fact that Jethro didn't give a damn about Pharaoh. Jethro ate every day. He had beautiful daughters. He had sheep. He had food. He had everything a man could want. He didn't need Pharaoh. So when I call my brothers in America and they say, well, you've been living in Africa for 14 years and you over 50 years old. It's like, it's just as modern as the United States. When you in Dar es Salaam, you might as well be in Atlanta.
But see, this is what they, but brother Solomon, but this is what they do. When we're talking about the coming of the Son, S-O-N versus S-U-N, this is the game of a manipulation that they play with us. So here's what I do know, because I was adopted by my brothers, by the Igbo tribe. Okay, there's a group.
I know the Igbo very well.
Okay, so I was adopted into their tribe. So was my wife. I was given a new name, the whole thing, family and everything.
Saw that. I heard that. I heard about that. Congratulations to you. That's a very strong people. And have you had a head reading yet?
I haven't. My daughter asked me the same thing just last night. Okay. She did. She asked me the same thing.
Wait till you get one of those by someone that's qualified.
All right.
Someone qualified in the Obatala science. And the Igbo people, I love them very much. Very much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Appreciate that. Now, what I'm gathering is that in having a conversation with those individuals who come directly from Africa, and those of us who feel a certain way, because we have that stigma. And what I found out is that they play both ends. So what they show you over in Africa is that Black Americans here, we are more gang banging, shooting up pimps and players, baby layers. Now, what we see over here in America is that Africa is bush people, African booty scratchers. This is where we get this from, because this is what they're showing us. But until some of us leave these United States and visit the continent, we will never know how much modern it is. So we have this misnomer, this miseducation about each other and about who we are, and having an understanding of why we practice Christianity here in the United States, knowing that this same thing they call Christianity here was there, but it wasn't Christianity as we know it today. Because if you read that Bible, it's as a King James version. It is his version of the scriptures that was laid before him at the Council of Nicaea. So when they came together and they began to develop this thing we call the Bible, and this is where we're at today. And a lot of us are hook, wink, still bamboozled, and not understanding that we are better than what they say we are.
100%. You know, and this is no disrespect to any race, creed, or color, because a lot of the people in the United States you call Caucasian, like Hoover, who was once head of, you're only Caucasian when you're RH negative. If you have white men with, and they're just as black as you are, but they're classified as white, when in fact their blood is RH positive. So the fact that you've not only been lied to within your school system about Africa, there's not a member in Congress who's pledged within any esoteric society, including the metaphysics within Freemasonry. And there are many congressmen and senators that understand they get their very life, including Biden. They understand they get their very essence from the Nile Valley. They understand that 100%.
Is this why in Washington, D.C., the layout is like the Nile Valley? It is identical to the Nile Valley, including the pool of reflection, which faces the
100%.
the George Washington Monument.
It faces the Washington Monument that's 555 feet tall. Exactly.
Now, go ahead.
You go to Jesus. You look at Jesus, and you look at Jesus getting back to the Son of Man and the misperception that you just raised. When you go to Jesus, the idea was to misrepresent Jesus. You couldn't have a strong black Essene going before the people and telling them these Roman soldiers are treating us like some bullshit. he tried that. And that's why they put out that warrant out for his arrest. The same shit go on today. Jesus was just a black. We're just using the word J.
Okay.
That J didn't come into existence for some time.
Yeah.
But just being modern, you're just dealing with a black man who was telling the North Africans of that day, look, the Romans are really screwing up our world here. They've come in, they've defeated us, and now they're taking over our politics. Well, Akhenaten had to deal with the same thing when he was attempting to keep the Phoenicians out of the Kemetan business. The Kemetans the Phoenicians were trying to get the North Africans to become pagans, just as King James had been doing. You see, if I can get you to become a pagan, then you've lost the sense of oneness. And you always are going to be comparing. Does my daughter look better than her daughter? Is my hat better than his hat? Do my degrees, my school match his school? It's duality. And when you were describing the sun during the course of December 21st, that's what they're describing takes place in the southern hemisphere. You said northern hemisphere.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. But what you said was exactly right. You're simply describing the sun. The sun in man is simply you coming online and recognizing that you and Christ are brothers. Because the moment your consciousness becomes illustrious, then you've got to go into motion to bring that reality out. There are white people who know there are black people that you just don't mess with. But they'll make you believe that you have no power. Young black men, when they go to Masonic meetings and they see you all stepping just like the Omega Psi Phi step, just like the Alpha step, that all looks good. But in Africa, we look at that and say, don't you know some white cops could pull up on these step shows anytime they want and put these brothers to the ground, though these brothers are paying taxes. We know that they're not going to violate you like that because we know that they need to pick some of you from those ranks. But if they wanted to. And we know that when you all look at people like Abe Lincoln and Hoover, that you don't know that they're black people. You don't, because they know the average Freemason doesn't study blood. What's the difference between a white man who's RH positive and a white man who's RH negative? That deals directly with the sun and man. When your Kundalini energy wakes your third eye up, you become somewhat of a monster yourself. And when I say monster, I'm only dealing with chaos. And that deals with, do you think once you become a monster, didn't they tell you Christ would return with a sword? Well, why do you think they want you eating a bunch of sugar with diabetes all up in you? And why do you think they want you having ham hocks and black-eyed peas and all that bullshit?
So in other words, they still want you eating like a slave when you're not.
Because as long as you eating that shit, they can beat your ass and anybody of you. If you stop, you ever see them doing that to Farrakhan, to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
No.
They treat him with the most respect. I've seen it. And that's because of what he puts in his body and what's in his head. So, you know, there's a concept. Even Satan said, God, if you remove the hedge from Job,
I can touch it. Yeah.
If you just step out of the way, the most racist white man knows the type of black man that's got a hedge around him. And they have to mess with you when you have that hedge around you. They know Martin Luther King didn't have a hedge around him.
Do you think
when you take out a man like that? Why do you think you all are experiencing the weather you're experiencing now? As within, so without. The more you become disturbed and the more you clean up your diet and you come into right knowledge, the weather is going to go berserk. You causing that directly and you don't even understand that shit. And when you speak to half the Freemasons throughout the world, none of them understand this. As within, so without. If it's cutting the fuck up outside you, that means it's cutting up fuck inside you. You mad right now. You mad because you tired of seeing your woman. And look, there are even higher forces that understand a split that you don't understand, Brother Tony Hawkins Muhammad.
Go ahead.
If you look at a dark-skinned brother like Tyrese or the brother Lindsay that's on right now, they don't look like somebody like that DJ Charlemagne the God. They don't look like some of the light-skinned brothers that you see walking around. You have different type of black people inside of America because of what went down. The Buffalo Soldiers weren't supposed to be friends with the Berbers. They were supposed to scapegoat the Berbers. What do you mean by scapegoat? Well, Jesus was scapegoated. The minute they put Jesus on the cross, all kinds of financial systems came into play. Everything changed. Well, in order for you to scapegoat somebody, you already were told at the beginning of this conversation that the universe doesn't believe in voids. That's why the Vesica Pisces has to be filled with energy. So if I remove the original Masons off the scene, I've got to replace them with somebody who doesn't understand the science, but I got to replace them because I don't want God to kill me right off the bat. You got to understand, Satan understands how to play with energy. So he knows that if he messes with one of you all, he's got to replace you. If he takes Martin Luther King out, he's got to put somebody like Jesse Jackson in his place. That's scapegoat doctrine.
So do you think that once King met with Elijah Muhammad, he became awoke or awakening to a whole nother situation?
Because he heard the word of God. Anytime, if you take a minute, look, this is not about the Nation of Islam. I'm not a spokesman for anybody.
I got you.
I'm giving you some sciences that we know here to be fact. When you listen to Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he speaks of the Caucasian, the man who was once wasn't. There was a time, Elijah Muhammad speaks clearly of a time that the Caucasian male was not. Well, when you go to Egypt and you start studying the story of Set, you're talking about a cell that was hidden.
Right.
And out from the underworld. That's the battle between Set and
Horus.
Set and Horus every day. Or Set and
Asa?
Asa. That's the fight between them two every day, light and dark. But there's a representation on the square plane. The square plane is simply just the physical plane. And that representation is who and what? It's the physical cell. And Elijah Muhammad clearly tells you that Satan was pulled from a grafted cell. It's the same story that they have up in Egypt about Set. But that doesn't mean the white man is bad, because we need him. I had 3 brothers in America that was thinking about killing me when I was younger because of the insanity I was into. But before them niggas got a hold of me, they were arrested by 3 white men. And I'm not a snitch. It's just God set it up that way where they had killed other men and got caught before they got to me. So you got to understand, just because you're white and you come from the that set seed, you can still be my brother in righteousness, as I've heard Minister Louis Farrakhan state. You know, when they've asked him, why do you hang around a white priest? Or why would you hang around a Catholic priest? He said he's my brother in righteousness. You can't get no more than truthful than that. Just because somebody, as long as you know when you're sitting next to somebody who's RH negative, somebody like a President Donald Trump, no disrespect to him, he's RH negative. When you're sitting next to him, just let him know. I know you're set. It's no, you don't have to say though. I'm not saying be disrespectful, but you know who he is. Don't try. If you try to be anybody other than God by kissing his ass, he's gonna lose all respect for you. He'll have more respect for a rapper than you, because you're trying to be like him, and he know he's set. You have to be God. 24 hours a day, you have to be God, even if it means your life. That's why in Freemasonry and Kemet they say stay on your post. That's why the Nation of Islam say stay on your post. So this is not a racist thing. As long as we know who's who, set is very, very, very necessary.
Very, very necessary.
But set can be dangerous too.
If you let him in your life, he's not dangerous to God. God tells Satan what to do. God said, go screw with him. Go get him. Go get that one. Go get this one.
So is that it?
Now,
Go ahead.
by the way, isn't set where you get the name Satan?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, sir. You on the mark. You on fire today. Your Kundalini gonna burn down that house. I can tell. Hey, you've been charting your course. You got that compass on fire, Lindsay. You're doing very well. Where did you study? What lodge did you study in?
I'm from International Fellowship at Martin Mason.
Okay. Well, salute to you, sir. You've educated yourself well.
Okay.
But see,
Brother Hawkins, I'm gonna turn it back over to you all, and I would like to listen at this point. I'm in South Africa, man. It's almost 4 o'clock my time.
oh my goodness, is that 4 o'clock on the AM?
Yeah, oh man, it's 3:58 now.
Oh man, that's a whole day's journey.
Say that again?
I said that's a whole day's journey. A whole day.
Depending on how you travel.
Oh.
Brother Morpheus, Brother Aaron, I appreciate you all, Baruti. I want to also give a special shout out to Brother D. That's a strong brother you got there with you. And
all right.
He knows the science. And there are a couple other brothers who have there with you. All of some sharp brothers. Brother Christopher, all of you all there at Ancient Free. Tony, what you did with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, we all applauded that. Only because it's now time for you to do what you say you're going to do, and that is have your rituals and your rights reflect you. There's no reason. We all know that the Grand Lodge of England is who they say they are, but they do not have an umbrella over God. The original black man is God. Asiatic black man, maker, owner, cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, God of the universe. Wherever you go, white boys here in South Africa that are 19 years old and younger call me uncle. I mean, you're talking about apartheid South Africa. They call me uncle. When I first heard it, I thought they were being disrespectful until someone had to say, no, they're being respectful to you. They know who their fathers are. When they used to call old black people in the South, uncle, hey, uncle, move that old there over there, uncle. He was really saying, daddy, wow. Move that over for me, daddy. That's all. You they mothers and fathers. So the moment you start doing their rituals, you become like them. So when you come to Africa, you're not going to be as embraced as you think you're going to be embraced because you're still wearing that eagle. When you don't have that eagle on you, Africans know it. But when you have that eagle on your forehead, there's nothing wrong with being patriotic. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the spirit of a black man is the spirit of God. And though Caucasians, even those who are RH negative, they are God within themselves because they come from God. But they're not your God. That's why you're going to always catch hell from them, because they were instructed by God to beat your ass until you wake up and realize that you yourself is God. And God doesn't play when it comes to waking you up, even if it means taking people out in your family. I mean, I ain't doing nothing like that. I'm a square. I'm talking about through floods, through hurricanes, through tornadoes. God feels like you have not woken up yet. So that's why you're going to continue to see the weather and police officers lose their minds on you because they're stressed out themselves. In the Bible, it tells you clearly, God said he had those poisonous serpents go attack the Hebrew children. It's right there in the New Testament. And why did he have those serpents attack the Hebrew children? Because they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing once they were set free. Who are the serpents today? We know that, we can all deal with cobras and things of that nature. We're not scared of them. But serpents today are the IRS, the FBI, the CIA. Those are the serpents, police force. Those are the serpents today that God's sicking on you. And the Nation of Islam is aware of this, and those Masons that deal in metaphysics are deeply aware of this. And so there are no secrets. The Bible was reconflicted and recontorted by King James. He put his version out there, the Council of Nicaea. We all know that story.
To back up, wait. All of us don't know that story. Let's just put it out there. Everybody don't know that story. And I can specifically say that in regards to the black churches and ministries. Everybody don't know that story. Some of us know that story, but everybody don't know that story because we're still on that same plane. We're still doing the same thing our forefathers did, knowing that we're free, so we still eat like slaves. So everybody don't know what happened then. They know that they have the NIV version, they have the JV version, they have all these different versions, but nobody knows that during this time, every God man has gone through the same ritual until we get to Jesus, the J-man or Yahshua or Yahweh. Every God has gone through that. So when you say, Brother Solomon, that everybody knows, brother, everybody don't know. They don't. That's why they still eat the pork. That's why they still live the life they live, because they don't know. So when we talk about the sun, the coming of the sun versus the sun, they don't know. So when I do things like this, people say, why are you doing that, Brother Hawkins? Brother Tony, but why you always... I'm doing that because I want to get you to think. I want you to think for yourself, knowing that when you go outside of this country, and I talk about it a lot, and deal with masonry versus dealing with Masons in this country, it's a different show.
Yeah.
It is just a different show. You go to South America versus America, it's a different show.
It is.
And so when people are able to wake up and realize that, that's why I did the last show I did, I said has the influence of Freemasonry been lost? Do they still have the influence? So when we take a look, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brother Hawkins. I think Freemasonry, I know Freemasonry is always going to have an influence. But I also think things are about to progressively change. There are more people like you, even within other, and I'm not mentioning other factions within Freemasonry. There are many others that think like you. Even within mainstream, I've spoken with them. They just, as you know, they're under certain obligations to their jurisdiction. They can't speak out like that. But a lot of people feel like you. A lot of people. So what I think is going to happen is that within the Blue Lodge, at some point, as a Master Mason, I think there's going to be something introduced along the lines of an Islamic degree. You see, the reason there needs to be an Islamic degree, or even within Black Freemasonry, an NOI degree, because what's sitting in what many of the 5%ers know what many of the Black Rosicrucians know. I had a Black Rosicrucian tell me in South Carolina back in 1997. I lost it. So they took it away from me. I wasn't supposed to say that.
If I may interject,
Yes, please, Mr. Morpheus, please.
I think that the Muslim degree should be in the anteroom. Think about that. Why would I say that?
We're listening.
That's the dark side, right? Of the mind. So if we're to contemplate, shouldn't we contemplate in the anteroom before taking on the light?
Wow. Oh, I think that's something you need to discuss with your Freemasonic brothers. But what I will say is that you are on fire as well, because that's how a seed germinates, and you need to have your rituals reflect nature. So yeah, you're absolutely that I'm not saying completely correct, but you need to introduce that. That's a very brilliant idea.
But when you say a Islamic degree, this is what I know for myself. To me, the Shriners is that Islamic degree, even though it doesn't have a degree with it. Because in the ancient Arabic order, Nobles of the Mystery Shrine, it deals specifically with Islam. But what has happened here in America is that we call it, I ain't gonna say we, but some call it the Playhouse of Masonry. It has nothing to do with the Playhouse of Masonry. This is some things that I don't know where it got introduced at, but I would tell you from my own studies and being initiated and being created a noble man from noble birth, that whole forest of the Shriners being the Playhouse is totally misunderstood. It took me some time to really go back and reflect upon being created, because in the ancient Arabic order, Nobles of the Mystery Shrine, you are created a noble, a man of noble birth. And to say that it's the Playhouse of Freemasonry is a big lie that has just been passed down because somebody like to have fun, drink, and get drunk. You're doing the wrong thing in the Shriners' work when you do that, because it is introduced to you about prayer 3 to 4 times a day. It introduces you to the Islamic waking or the way of life in Shrine. It really does. But we in America have totally lost it. Totally.
You see, Brother Hawkins Muhammad, when the Knights of Templar discovered around the 11th, 12th century, that in order for the Catholic Church to rule the world or to govern, they need to govern with Islam, but they couldn't call it that. One of the reasons Freemasonry was introduced into Europe was because Europe was in a dark age. They were dying when they should have just been taking showers and scrubbing themselves properly. They were filthy, filled with lice, filled with everything. See, this is the problem. This is the problem that the Catholic Church had. They were void of science and light until they came across Islam. And they were told by the highest of Islamist priests that in order for you to rule the world, because we know it's your time to rule the world, you can only rule the world with you and your functionaries under Islam. You don't have to call it Islam. You can call it Christian Science. You can call it Freemasonry. But it is Islam. But now you got to understand, most Masons who've traveled through Scottish Rite understand that all roads lead to Islam. I had a bunch of alphas here in South Africa tell me that, and both of them were Freemasons. They said, we know it all leads to Islam. So I don't know if everybody knows that, but the truth is, let's look at Islam and see where it comes from. And we're not speaking of anything.
Hold on, if I may interject. Where do you go after Islam? Once you go from the left to the right, don't you go back center again? Or are you
No.
all over the place?
Where you got to understand, Islam is not left or right. It's a way of life. And that's where we need to go back to, a way of life. you understand that when the Nation of Islam speaks of, and again, I'm not a member, we just know the science here in Africa. When the moon,
yeah, it is a science. I'm talking about the anatomy and physiology of the human body in relation to the metaphysics of reality. So Christianity does their thing in relation to the spirit. Islam does their thing in relation to the flesh or the body and the spirit. But there's Judaism in the middle. But anyway.
The primary theme is to do others as you would like done to yourself.
Exactly.
Islam itself, it represents peace. It represents peace, wholeness, and wisdom. So when you're dealing with the moon and the sun once being together, this predates all of our civilizations. At that time, it was called a moon. It was a, meaning the definite, like ah, and you say la being God, and ah being the God. So when you say Allah, you're saying the God. When you're saying Amun, you're saying one. You're speaking of the planet at that time being one egg, acting as one. And that is the primal basis of Islam. We are all one. If we know that there are only 14 major strands of mitochondrial DNA, that means all of us are related by some kind of way. So we all are one. Most of us in this chat have children. And not one of us want our children beat down like a dog, like Rodney King was beat down. And so why can't you just, we don't need to call it Islam. I'm just using Islam as the name. Christian Science is fine too. Christian Science is just not whole. When children leave from Christian churches, they generally don't know anything about the world because that's how it was structured. And when you're dealing with men like King James, I have all the respect for those who are in Christian Science because Christian Science is Islam. When you study the works of Moses, when you study the works of Jesus, they were all Islam. All Essenes were Islam, and just in their practice. If you study the way they prayed, if you study the way they spoke to their deity, that was all Islamic. They all thought as one. I don't have an issue calling it whatever you want. The bottom line is when we go past Islam and you're dealing with the Meta Netter predates the word Islam, but the Meta Netter and Islam are one and the same. You're just talking about the Enneads and how they form everything from our starry canopy to a crocodile. All of that is described in the halls of Islam. Whereas our children who are leaving Christian churches in America have lost their minds. Ritalin is at an all-time high among 4-year-olds. What is Ritalin? Speed. Okay, but it comes from a doctor, I know, but it's still speed. Look, the bottom line is we are throwing Christian Science in people's faces, but we're leaving out, the fact that we know some pretty serious gunners in the United States government that are Christians too. And we know some leaders around the world that call themselves Christian too. But they still sleep with other women and they have wives. They still have been killed for no reason, but they call themselves Christian. When you look at the Islamic religion, if you threw the Quran away, and those are words that are difficult for me to say because I can't imagine that, but it's in the hearts of so many millions of people, they can still recite it. The Bible is the most read book because it's the most purchased book. Excuse me. The Quran is the most read book, whereas the Bible is the most purchased book. That means when people are getting the Bible, they're thumbing through it, but they're realizing the story, the real stuff is not there. And when you look at the Bible, even King James Version, you see many common denominators to the Bible itself. And when you look at King James as a person, and back to him, I don't disrespect him, but remember, this was somebody who was reported to have killed his own mother. So I'm not, when you research, I've been in the mystery system for 30 years. And the stories I've read, receiving information, it's nothing for a citizen in the United States to, due to the Freedom of Information Act, you can find out just about anything on anybody. So being someone who has a great deal of information, with technology being what it is today, and you having access to FBI files legally, there's no reason for you to be sitting on the fence. So when you do hear about somebody in the ghetto getting their ass whooped by a police officer, Black people should not be so emotional about that, because they could be removing somebody from your way.
So in other words, we have to stop living emotionally and start living. We have to remove our emotions out of things, because a lot of us our emotions get us in trouble a lot of times.
You got it. Every time I got stopped by a police officer my last 3-4 years in Atlanta, out of the 4, 2 of them didn't give me a ticket. And the other 2 that gave me a ticket, I didn't extend them a Masonic handshake or anything of that nature. 2 of them didn't give me a ticket, and 2 did give me a ticket, but they told me, look, I'm not going to go to court. So you take the ticket, you show up in court, I'm not going to be there, the judge is going to dismiss it. That's because I did the respect when they pulled me over. I didn't look like I was a threat to them, and they knew I lived in the country club up the street. So they didn't do me like they do a lot of niggas. And I'm black. But the bottom line is, I know for a fact in my life, I had 3 killers in the 1990s that were coming for me. But because they got caught up in something else, the police got a hold to them before they got to me. And I wasn't snitching on anybody. So those were white cops that got those 3 killers. And do I want to thank them for doing that? They did their job. I don't need to thank them. But they saved my life. So again, when you come out of the mystery system, who was Rodney King? I mean, we really have to ask ourselves these kind of questions. What I lived in LA during that time. What kind of black man was he? Was he somebody that should have been dating my sister? No. Should he have been beat down like that before the world? If you're trying to freeze people's consciousness, that's how you separate the wheat from the chaff. Put some ugly shit in front of some people and watch them scramble. Don't be kind to them and show them the Brady Bunch. Show them the Brady Bunch and say, don't you know Tom Brady died of AIDS in real life?
Well, okay. Okay.
After you give them the bullshit, then you give them some real shit.
So
you're like, Bill Cosby, look at Bill Cosby eat that pudding. And then you give them the most stinkiest humiliation ritual. You say, oh, now look at him. He done raped 25 women. He done, oh, golly, oh. See, that's how Satan operates. He takes you to extremes because Satan has to be on both sides. He has to be on the good side and he has to be on the bad side too in your 3-dimensional world. When the Son of Man arrives, you've now stepped into a different dimension. And when you step into that different dimension and cops in Atlanta pull you over, they're going to say, oh, sir, here's your license back. Here, go take care of this. And you have a very nice day, sir. When that Son of Man shows up and you start dealing with, I told a woman, a racist woman, when she was talking about black people and their lips, I said, have you ever noticed those Kardashians can't seem to stop going under a knife to make themselves look like black women? She threw all over the yard at a cookout. That's because her spirit couldn't even take the truth. That's why when Moses went to Pharaoh and Pharaoh was like, Moses, you see, Pharaoh knew that he could have chopped Moses. Moses is walking up to Pharaoh with no men. He knew that he could have fucked Pharaoh up at any time, but there was something that kept him back. On a smaller scale, it's the same thing that kept them Atlanta cops from beating my ass. They knew I was somebody different. That's why I mentioned to you, Brother Hawkins Muhammad, when you had the cipher and the smaller cipher reflecting PHA, no disrespect to PHA, I told you that a cipher was there because a cipher represents the unseen. 77 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, they put a 0 there above that 77. That 77 degrees can't be seen. It can only be felt. Mm-hmm. So Manly P. Hall understood that. But Manly P. Hall was upsetting some people because he wasn't controlled. That's why John Jones got into trouble, because he understood the deeper sciences. That's all I wanted to say, brother. You gave me the whole night.
No. Look. We're all here listening. We're all here learning. We're all here adding to it. So it's just not one dimensional. The ideal is that you bring a different flavor. You're sharing information that some of us may or may not know. So in saying that and looking at what we're discussing and having this great conversation and dialogue about both on the YouTube and both on the Zoom, it really brings out a lot of information that some of us did not know. Let's just keep it simple, because when you talk about their scenes just a little while ago, most of us don't know that their scenes was a
They were your freemasons of that day.
a Imperial Potentate. Are you calling into the show?
Oh, nah. I was calling about something else.
Well, let me holler back
I
at.
thought you was off the show by now.
No, bro, it's too hot right now. My Kundalini is just off the chain. Let me call you back. So I have my Imperial Potentate. He's like, I thought, no, I'm not done. This is going on for a minute. So when we begin to rethink about who we are and begin to refocus. When I say refocus, I'm saying I'm not a slave, so I'm not going to eat like a slave. Nor am I going to act like a slave or carry myself like a slave. When you begin to refocus, to rejuvenate that energy within inside of you, everything should change. And yes. I'm still trying to fathom how the sun is not in the heavens, versus you saying the light and the rays are descending from the earth. I'm still trying to figure it out. I ain't gonna stay here and lie, because I can stand right here and see a big blow of fire up there. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna give it to you very simple. As within, so without. I'm gonna say that again, and then I'm gonna walk you through something.
Go
as
for
within, it. So without.
Uh-huh.
In the center of your stomach, in your solar plex regions, you have small miniature suns. That's why your body's at a temperature above 96 degrees. Right?
At all times, yes.
Well, you're not gonna be at 50 degrees unless rigor mortis is set.
Well, okay, we on the same page.
You're gonna stay above 90 something degrees.
Correct.
When you exhale, that's heat. That's heat coming from within inside those suns. When those suns go out, rigor mortis sets in and your body turns cold and you stiff up because there's no more heat happening. Look, the earth has a sun within it just like you have a sun within you. The scientists know that. You're just not supposed to know that. They told you it was 93 million miles away. That's what they teach us in school. You know good and damn well you couldn't see nothing 93 million miles away. And look, anytime you get ready, when Mr. Hawkins Muhammad, as much as you traveled, I'm sure Brother Baruti and Morpheus and the rest of you guys, I know Lindsay traveled. When you travel during the day in a plane, you up at 30,000 feet. Tell me if you see a sunball. You're not gonna see.
I don't. I can't lie and say I do. I just see the rays of a sun. I don't see the sun. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying too. That's all you gonna see are the rays. Your buddy. That's why we sit here in the mystery system and look at y'all. We go, there they go, they're going. They did it. They pieced it together. And then one of the brothers will say, call them up right quick, John. Just call them. Say something to them. Look, you gotta understand that everything inside the earth is inside you. So here's my question. Go ahead.
Here's my question. Standing on this rock and looking into the sky, the heavens, the universe, as we call it, however you want to put that, and you see this big ball of fire, this star, what would you call it?
It's a sun.
Oh, but
it's just not out. It's not the sun that's above your head, though. You see, this earth produced in Sirius B. The Sirius B complex consists of Sirius A, B, and C. You're dealing with an organic orgasm that took place. It replicates itself just like you having a child.
Over and over again?
You got it. Your child gonna do the same thing you did to create another one of them.
He did.
Everything does the same thing. The planets do the same thing we do, brother. They do the same. And the sun that's not hard to understand. What's hard to understand is that you were lied to for so that's the part that touches you. You were but see that's
Bro Solomon,
yes, sir.
is that why the Dogons used to do the dance of the movement of the sun?
Exactly. The Dogons have a sun ritual because they know what the sun is.
Right.
That you spitting fire. The Dogon does a sun ritual and they do the sun ritual at certain intervals because they understand that's why their rituals have power.
And Christ was always the fish, right?
Do you know why?
No, but I saw a documentary on that.
Okay.
I believe it's the shape of his Merkaba.
Repeat that.
I believe it's the shape of his Merkaba, but also Pisces, and he came out of the water and walked on the water.
No, that's not that. You're close, but that's not it. When you're dealing with, remember, when you look at a fish, there are different types of fish in the sea, and in fresh water. You got brim, you got catfish, you got all different types of fish, just like you got all different types of men, and we all need to be fished. So Jesus was a fisher of men. That's all. That you're just dealing with somebody, and you're also dealing with. I'm gonna keep it simple. You're just dealing with being a fisher of men, having that master grip to have men stand perpendicular at a 90-degree upright all the time.
Hold on. Is there a difference between men and a man? If Jesus was a man, he was fishing for men, right? For fish.
Yes.
And fish.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Well,
a man or a man?
Well, when we're talking about Jesus, you can talk Jesus the person, or you can speak Jesus the Christ. When you're speaking Jesus the Christ, you're just dealing with someone who was once in the world or operated of the world until they came into a higher consciousness. That's what Brother Hawkins and Brother Lindsay, they're doing today in this conversation. It's the same thing Jesus would do. Jesus would say, look, you all, we got to stop. When we have these Masonic meetings, we got to stop talking about the bullshit and take things just a bit higher.
Absolutely.
Because is operating on a different level, and we want to operate on a different level. So we all know we got big penises. We all know that we can stroke some coochie. We all know that
it's not supposed to be about ego at all. Except for that's the issue we're dealing with. Is ego.
That's
and
one of the
cognitive dissonance.
Well, that's one of the biggest problems. That's why Set was necessary, because Set's job is to put you back in place. If you notice, Joseph Biden and those presidents, they don't give a shit really how they look. That's nigga shit. And there's nothing wrong with knowing how you look. You want to look beautiful, but they're more into power. They're not into the idea of I'm going to go out here and pretend to be powerful. I'm going to go out here and be powerful. And anybody that wants something from me, they've got to step towards me in the most humble of way to the point they're kissing my butt. Well, that's
worthy and well qualified.
Right? Exactly. But so is Satan. Satan qualified to be in his position. You have, in order for you to be Satan, you have to speak at least 5, 6, 7 different languages. You have to know how people think. You just can't be an idiot being Satan or Set. Yeah, you have to be well qualified.
That's an interesting point of view right there. In order to be Satan, you have to be wise also.
Exactly. You have to be. In order for you to be Satan, you're dealing with very powerful people. So in order for you to trick somebody like Donald Trump to get him to do dumb shit like Satan does, Donald Trump is smart. But Satan has to be smarter. So God knew what he was doing. Now, when I'm speaking of Satan, I'm dealing with the singular energy, that primal energy, that ego energy.
The serpent, right? You're talking singularly about the serpent.
Well, you got to understand something. There are different types of serpent. Now, you know there is Okay, there's a Leviathan, and that Leviathan is a serpent too. Leviathan is within all men, and
Right.
you do know what happens when that is released, and that appears to be about around the corner for what's getting ready to happen.
But
in
see,
America.
but see, brother Solomon, when you say you know, everybody don't know that they have a Leviathan waiting to like come out and just tear up some shit. Because this is what happens a lot of times. Everybody don't know. This is what happens a lot of times. When Leviathan shows up, they bring out when Leviathan shows up, and Leviathan has come out a few times, they bring out Mom. Mom says, look, y'all need to calm down. We forgive them. It's going to be okay. They bring Mom out. That calms the Leviathan down. But if Dad, and they never bring Dad out. They never bring Dad out. You bring Dad out, Dad gonna say, fuck it, let's tear this shit up. What do you mean, calm down? That's the thing that happens, because this is what we do know. They will show you a murder of a black man being beaten or shot down quicker than they will show a white person, because they don't want you to see that. Now, I would tell you this, there are police officers who have did a drive-by and killed white people, shot them, killed them, but you don't hear about it. They don't want you to know about it. You will not see that on YouTube or Zoom. No, you can't even bring it up and say, Brother Hawkins, police did a drive-by on such and such. It was a white guy. They'll show it to you. You don't find it. You won't see it. Because it to see that makes you numb almost, because we are almost that way in a sense. You know, well, it's just another brother. It's just another
Brother
sister.
Tony, what you said is exactly correct. I'll give you a quick example. When I was in my early 20s, I got locked up in LA for having a fight. It was nothing. Nothing ever became of it. I just had to stay in jail for the weekend.
Right.
But I was in jail for that weekend at LA County with a white guy. White guy was scrawny. He looked like Eminem. And so I'm talking to him, and I asked him, why was he sitting up in here? You ask questions like that, like, what did you do? And he told me that he blew up a bowling alley. Now, and he literally blew this bowling alley up, but it wasn't on the news. It was, I would much rather deal with Mike Tyson cussing me out, threatening me about him coming at me. Some people beat this little scrawny white boy up. He came back with some Clorox and some fuses and made a pipe bomb and blew that mother. He blew it. See, we don't do things like that because that's not in our hearts. We don't live like that. People beat his ass and he went home and got some shit that he had at home at Home Depot and came that same day while they was sitting up in there bowling, and he blew them up. And this was a scrawny white boy. And I'm like, I went to the bowling alley when I got out that Monday. I went to and saw that he threw the whole front out.
Wow.
That goes to show you that when God makes a man for a purpose, you have to qualify. That was Satan's seed right there. A black boy ain't gonna get his ass beat and go